Hey y'all, who dat and what is up? I am Jeff Nowak, and this is a preview edition of Inside Black and Gold. Gonna be a little different this time than what we've been used to. We're not doing the crossover interview for any of these upcoming divisional matchups. We know about these teams. You've seen them already. So we're just gonna skip that part of it. We'll probably still do them for the Titans and Jets just to kind of get some information. But the Bucs, we know all about the Bucs. So this week, instead of doing a crossover interview, we're going to play a exclusive interview that Voice of the Saints, Mike Haas, did with Saints kicker Charlie Smyth. That'll be kind of the middle of the episode. Also going to bring in Steve Geller in place of our Breeze and Stuff segment. It'll be kind of a Steve and Stuff segment. And then we'll close out the episode with X Factor. So kind of a preview, but not really. We're going to try to come up with some new ways to format these episodes as we go the rest of the way. Because, hey, this is a podcast about a 2-10 football team. There are no bad ideas. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please do that. Give us a rating. Give us a review wherever you listen to your podcast. Make sure to ring the bell on YouTube. You can follow myself at Jeff_Nowak. You can follow the show at Saints_pod. And you can follow Steve Geller over at Steve Geller WWL. Going to take a quick break down the injury report and a few roster moves for week 14. Let's do it. Stick around. And we are back on Inside Black and Gold. Jeff Nowak here coming at you ahead of week 14. Saints at Bucs. The Saints are 2-10. The Bucs are 7-5, and would the word clinging to the NFC South lead be appropriate? They are a half game ahead of the Panthers, and the Saints go into Tampa Bay, a place they've had a lot of success with the opportunity to play spoiler. We'll see if they can do that this year in a way they could not last year. We'll have to wait and see, but let's break down the injury report for the matchup. Not a long injury report, but some significant names on there. Let's flash it up to my left here. There are 4 DNPs. Taliesin Fuaga dealing with an ankle injury. Kellen Moore told me it's to the opposite ankle from the one he injured against the Rams. I think dealing with one ankle injury is probably tough enough. Dealing with 2 feels like time to sit down and take a rest. He did not practice Wednesday or Thursday. I'd be very surprised to see him go. And which would mean you're back to Austin Richards at right tackle. And the Saints will have to manage that. Alvin Kamara, Justin Reed, both dealing with knee issues. Neither practiced Wednesday or Thursday. Neither is trending to play. So that'll mean more Devin Neal, more Jonas Sanker, and probably Terrell Burgess, who Brandon Staley talked glowingly about today. And Justin Reed suffered his injury on the first play against the Dolphins, tried to kind of work it out, couldn't come back in. Kellen Moore said he's not going to head to IR, so it's not a season-ending injury, but we're getting down toward the end of the season. We'll see if he does work his way back. Either way, that's going to be a major question mark for the secondary, how they handle it, especially because Jonas Sanker was added to the injury report on Thursday with what's being listed as a head. And that's kind of an unusual injury listing. If it was a concussion, which we could not get Brandon Staley to confirm nor deny, typically that would be listed as concussion protocol. In this case, it's head. I did see Jonas Sanker in the locker room. He did not appear worse for wear. It's not like he had a gash or anything. So, you might be talking about migraines or something like that. It's going to be something to watch. I would be surprised if he doesn't play against the Bucs, but either way, you have the potential for a very, very thin safety group. And if Sanker can't play, your starting safeties would be Terrell Burgess and Jordan Howden, which is suboptimal. The good news, Chris Olave, who is a DNP on Wednesday with his back issue, the same back issue that he went into week 13 with, he was upgraded to a limited participant, which is a good sign that he'll be able to play. Obviously, we're recording this on Thursday. We do not have the Friday injury reports. Any of these guys could potentially get to practice on Friday, and all of them, I would expect, if they got in a limited session, would have an opportunity to play. And that's usually the case with trusted starters, veteran players. On the opposite side is the Bucs injury report, which only really has 2 question marks on it. There are several players listed, but the only player who did not practice on either day was Tristan Wirfs. He is dealing with an oblique injury, and if the Bucs are without their left tackle, it's obviously a significant blow considering their quarterback is dealing with a separated shoulder, and you don't want any free rushes coming off the blind side in those circumstances. Everyone else either got a limited practice or a full practice. Of the 8 other players listed, 6 of them were full participants. That includes Chris Godwin with a fibula injury, Bucky Irving with a shoulder injury, Baker Mayfield with a left shoulder injury, Benjamin Morrison, cornerback, dealing with a hamstring issue, outside linebacker Hassan Reddick, ankle issue, and then Rashad Wisdom with a quad. He is still on injured reserve, so it'll be a question of whether they bring him back. But all those guys were full participants either Wednesday, Thursday, or both days. The other question is Mike Evans, who is coming back from a broken collarbone. He's a bit ahead of schedule, and he got limited work in both days. So that'll be one to watch on Friday if the Bucs do bring him back to the active roster or if they let him sit out. I'd be surprised if he plays, because I think if you're the Bucs, your goal at this stage is to get Mike Evans back for the playoff run. I don't think they're going to rush him back to play the Saints. You're already kind of outside that window. If you recall last year in week 18, the Bucs were just aggressively trying to get him over 1,000 yards, which I think cheapens the record. I think it was 10 straight seasons. He's got 140 receiving yards in week 14. He would need to average almost 200 receiving yards a game the rest of the way. That's not going to happen. So despite what they showed you last year and how cheaply they were willing to get that record, there's just absolutely no way you're going to rush him back trying to get that record this year. So if he can't go, it's going to be a lot of what we saw. It's going to be very similar to what the Saints saw earlier this year, with the exception that Bucky Irving, the starting running back, is expected to be out there. Missed a lot of time. There was some weird reporting going on about his mental status and things of that nature, but he should be out there. Only a few other roster notes. Kellen Moore did confirm that Charlie Smyth, despite not being signed to the active roster, is going to remain the Saints starting kicker. I wouldn't read anything into that beyond they're just taking advantage of the free roster spot. The second they sign him to the active roster, they would lose kind of that 17th practice squad spot. And they're not worried about Charlie getting poached, because signing someone off of another team's practice squad is not the same as a waiver claim. The Saints, if someone came and tried to sign Charlie Smyth, the Saints would sign him, and Charlie's not going to leave. The guy way more likely to be signed off the Saints practice squad is Cade York. And obviously with Charlie Smyth getting that job, assuming he holds on to it, the Saints wouldn't try to retain Cade York, and they'd say good luck wherever you're going. Speaking of good luck, Blake Grupe signed with the Colts on their practice squad. He won a workout. He's replacing Michael Badgley, who has struggled. And the Colts are turning to the groupster. Raised some eyebrows with some comments about playing meaningful football, which, guys, just let him go play meaningful football. He's not subtweeting the Saints. It's just a reality. The Saints aren't playing meaningful football right now, at least as far as field goals are concerned. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. The Saints did sign 2 players, one being wide receiver Dante Pettis, who has been the team's punt returner over the past 3 weeks. He was elevated all 3 times. He's maxed out his elevations. So they signed him to the active roster so he can continue to be the primary punt returner. They also signed William Sherman, a depth offensive lineman, and waived Kevin Austin and Barry Wesley, who have since been signed to the practice squad. So we're going to hit a quick break, bring in Steve Geller, and talk about Tyler Shough, as we are wont to do, because let's face it, you're a 2-10 football team. Tyler Shough is basically the only interesting conversation to have right now. Is Tyler Shough good enough is basically the story of the final month of your season. It's going to get repetitive. That's just the reality. We're going to hear from Mark Schlereth, who has now called 2 Tyler Shough games as the Fox color analyst, and is really pushing Louis Riddick for the title of biggest Tyler Shough stan. Had a lot of positive things to say, and I'm not overselling that. Like, genuinely very, very positive reviews coming out of that game. So we'll hear from him, talk about that, and also talk about what positions, if not quarterback, should the Saints be targeting in this upcoming draft. We'll talk about that. Obviously hear from Charlie Smyth, break down X factors. Who dat? Go Saints. Stick around. We will be right back. And we are back on Inside Black and Gold, getting ready for week 14, Saints at Bucs. I am Jeff Nowak. There's an underscore in there if you want to look me up on social media, or you can just look me up by my name. I think I would still show up. There is one other Jeff Nowak, but he is easy to distinguish from me, I believe. And as promised, we are bringing in Steve Geller, doing things a little bit differently this week. There'll be no Breeze and Stuff segment. It'll be a Steve and Stuff segment. And we're going to be getting into a couple topics here. But how you feeling, Steve? It's kind of a dreary week. It's been raining. It's kind of gross. It's cold. I'm going to go to Florida. It's also supposed to rain. It's rainy. It's the rain season, I guess. We have a rainy season here now.
Yeah, right now we know playoffs are out the picture officially. Elimination, there's not even talk of whatever wild scenario you could try and concoct for the Saints right now. So it's definitely just, for me, evaluating all the young talent going into next season and trying to get a gauge on what you can rely on and what you still desperately need to add to this squad.
Yeah, it was funny. I asked Cam Jordan yesterday, and he gave me kind of a dumb Cam answer because he's a weirdo and the normal things don't apply to him. But it's got to be tough as a team. Obviously, as a fan base, you've already kind of decided they're not making the playoffs. We know that when you're 2-7, you're not making the playoffs, even if the math says it's possible. But as a team, as a locker room, yeah, that's the thing. It's we're just going to win all our games. We're going to do it. You have to, even if that's so illogical as a player, that's you got to lock in somehow. And I think that's probably how you do it. Once you're mathematically eliminated, you can't even use that. So it's got to be a struggle to get that motivation to go out there and just run full speed, and to hit guys and get hit and all that. Football's a gnarly game, and you gotta be able to lock in somehow. And yes, they're professionals; they get paid, but there's human nature. And so what I asked Cam was does it help that 3 of your final 5 games are against division teams? And he kind of said, I don't need any extra motivation. I was I know, Cam, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the rest of the locker room, which consists of largely normal people. And he was yeah, I guess it does. And I do think this is probably the season that you needed that to kind of get you through the final. It's not typically you will not have this backloaded of a division schedule, but at the very least, that's what you have. It's one of the 2 things, the second being a young quarterback, that adds intrigue to the back half of the schedule. Because if nothing else, you can go out to Tampa and be a spoiler right now. You can do the same thing to Carolina in a couple weeks. You can just twist the knife against the Falcons in week 18, and there's value in that, right?
Always value in beating Atlanta, no doubt.
Yeah, and even Tampa this week, it will be enjoyable to watch the Saints go into Raymond James Stadium, as they've so often done, and put it on a team that a Bucs team that feels we're good. We're the playoff contender in this division. We're right there. And then, if the Saints put a loss on them, suddenly they're 7-6. Suddenly they're right there. The Panthers are okay, let's see it.
Man, Carolina's been a wild story.
It's so strange. They beat the Rams, man. How'd they beat the Rams? How'd that even happen?
We waxed them.
I have to have this warped idea of Bryce Young as a quarterback, because every time I watch him play the Saints, he's terrible. How? And then I watch these other games and I'm he's playing better.
Yeah.
So it's just this strange thing. But even I watched him play the 49ers and he was bad. But then he goes against the Falcons, he throws for 400 yards. He goes against the Rams and he's killing them 4th down. And I don't know, man. It's a weird situation.
No, considering what we saw from the Panthers, there was no way in hell I thought they'd be able to even hang with the Rams.
No, and the quarterback was the reason. And suddenly it's weird. And so quarterbacks are weird, right? And this final so-and-so games of the season, we're going to have a lot of answers provided on Tyler Shough and how he handles this and how he develops over the final 5 games. I still have the Spencer Rattler stands in my mentions being he didn't get his fair shake.
He didn't get his fair share. Look at the numbers. They're very similar. How come everybody's supporting Shough? Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, and the strange thing is like, and what I can't get people to seem to wrap their heads around is like, yes, Spencer Rattler came in and probably had slightly better numbers than the rookie quarterback at his first 4 career starts, but that's not what you should be comparing it to. You're developing the rookie quarterback. You should be comparing it to Spencer Rattler's first 4 career starts, not his 9th through 14th career starts, which came this year. And I would argue he progressed immensely from year 1 to year 2. And it's funny because the logic that people are using to argue this should go back to Rattler is the same logic that would have prevented you from ever giving Spencer Rattler that chance in the first place, which is players get better over time. But a guy who is very positive on Tyler Shough, and there's a few of them out there, like not a ton of people are paying attention to Tyler Shough, although that number is rising. Especially when you start to have highlight throws like the one to Vele at the end of last week's game, like that'll catch some eyes.
That's something I felt we never saw, a highlight throw from Spencer. Of all the credit or negativity you want to say about him, that's one thing I was never wowed by any kind of pass he threw.
I guess. I mean, he had some really nice throws against the Bears, like that touchdown to Olave at the end of the first half. Like there were some throws. Situationally, there weren't.
Yeah.
So it's tough. Like, and people were talking about Spencer for a period of time. Either way, it's like slowly that's going to start to rise for Tyler. And, guys like Luke McCown are always going to be in his corner. Luke McCown's big on him right now. I appreciate Luke. He still has a Saints picture and as his profile picture. But a guy who has to talk about Tyler because he's watched him close up multiple times is Mark Schlereth, a guy whose opinion I trust. Like he's not the guy who's going to go in there and gas people up.
Not at all.
If they don't deserve it, right? Now, he will gas you up if you deserve it. And so here's what Mark Schlereth had to say when he was on Sports Talk with us this week.
Hey, listen, man, I'm really impressed with Shough. From meeting with him, talking to him, and I said on the broadcast, man, that dude loves the grind. He loves the prep. And I get it all the time, man. When I hear people talk about our players go, man, I just go out and ball. I'm like, okay, check that guy off. He'll have a short career. When I have a guy that talks about the preparation and to fall in love with the film study and trying to decipher like who you can attack, who you should stay away from, what guys are good at, what they're not good at, like that to me is an indicator that a dude really understands, the professionalism of playing this sport. And I said it all the time. I used to say it to my son all the time. I'm like, just because you play a pro sport doesn't make you professional. I was a professional football player. It's what I did. I prepped, I studied. I was prepared at all times for everything. And that's what I came away with. Now, a couple of things, man. Change your protections on the line of scrimmage, finding the open guy, having the poise in the pocket, being convicted when you throw the football. He has all of those things. Every one of those things. He's got movement skills. He's got a big-time arm talent. And, hey, listen, man, 2 things. The very final drive, 2nd down and 1, he puts it between 2 defenders on the hands of Chris Olave, who's your best wide receiver. Dude, catch the ball for a touchdown and win the game. Let's go home. And I understand it's a tough catch. I don't care. I don't. I don't care that it's a tough catch. Make the play. That quarterback put it on the numbers. And then on the 3rd down and 1 where they threw the ball, 3rd down and 1, they ran a defense that they ran earlier in the game that Rasul Douglas got an interception on. And that looked like they were in like a form of man-to-man, and all of a sudden safety goes over the top. Rasul Douglas squats and takes away the stick route, the inside-out breaking route. He squats, lets the wide receiver go deep on him because the safety's going over the top, and they basically like a trap cover 2, and he reads it and intercepts the ball in the stick route. They ran that exact same defense on 3rd down and 1 against the exact same route combination. And Shough looked at that stick route and said, nope, I ain't going to throw it because I'm not getting it picked off here in this critical moment. That to me was like, a guy that's not going to repeat the same mistake he made earlier in the game, to learn from that. So I walk away from that game, guys, being completely convinced that guy's got a chance to be really good. And so for you guys in New Orleans, I would say this. Your team's not very good. Your team's got a lot of work, right? Like a lot of personnel work that they've got to work on right now. But, man, if there's not a quarterback that just you cannot live without in the draft, there's going to be somebody that wants to trade up and go get a guy, and you're going to pick up, 2 first-rounders and maybe something else. Like, you're sitting in a pretty good position right now if Shough can continue to do the things he's done early with his first 4 starts.
So, yeah, I mean, that's a pretty strong take, right? Like, I need you to understand, Mark Schlereth and analysts and NFL analysts don't like being wrong. They're not going to just go out there and say that type of stuff. He actually went on to say later in the interview, we'll play part of that clip in the final segment when we get into the X Factors. He went on to say that he thinks Tyler is playing the best of any rookie quarterback in the NFL right now and better than a lot of the second-year guys not named Drake May. He didn't mention Bo Nix. Like, I'd be curious to hear that comparison, how he thinks he's playing relative to Bo Nix.
Because Schlereth is a Denver guy, too.
Yeah. And Denver's leading the AFC right now. Like, what are they, 10-2, 9-2? So it's tough, but like you can make a case that Bo Nix is holding that offense back to some extent. Either way, like he's not going out and say, like, if anyone should have a strong take on Tyler Shough right now, it's the guy who's been the play-by-play, or the guy who's been the color analyst for 2 of his 4 starts. The other one is Drew Brees, who we've heard plenty from and has also been positive. It's going to be interesting to see as this season goes on if people start paying more attention to the Saints. Because all I hear about is Jackson Dart. All I hear about is Shedeur Sanders and whatnot. And I understand they're the ratings draws, and that's what you're going to get. But I will say, like, I hear nothing about Cam Ward. So, the Titans are also kind of in the NFL's blind spot. But it is nice to get some of these takes to start come out. Like Dan Orlovsky was tweeting about Tyler Shough, and obviously Louis Riddick is always tweeting about Tyler Shough.
Yeah, I got to retweet someone, Ian Harowitz, I think that's how you say his last name, put out a Shough highlight video, and I was like, wow. And so I retweeted him. Yeah,
and the funny thing is it's not good to analyze a quarterback based on a highlight reel, right? Because everyone's going to have good throws. Everyone's going to have bad throws. Like, I think a highlight reel should be immediately followed by a low light reel, right? But I do think the length of those highlight reels is interesting to consider. Like, this is a quick cut highlight reel that includes probably 30 throws. It was 90 seconds long, but this was like 2-3 seconds a clip. And the fact that you're 4 starts in and have enough throws to even fill out of it, reel like that is telling. And it's not the throws themselves. It's the way you're making the throws. It's how you're setting the protection. It's dealing with the defense and making the right decision. So it'll be interesting. And there's a lot of time left in this season, and there's a lot of development left. But I think the Saints are probably right now feeling like this is the guy for 2026.
What's wild when you think about the top 3 teams right now in the NFL draft, Tennessee, New York Giants, New Orleans Saints, are any of them in the QB market?
That's a good question. The Jets obviously are.
Jets are, yes.
Oh, man, and I would imagine the Jets end up somewhere in that mix.
I don't think Tennessee moves on from year 1, and I think that the Giants are perfectly happy with Dart.
Yeah, and that's going to be the question is, are there trades available? And, does a team need to move up to 1? Do they need to move up to 2? Do they need to move up to 3? And so that's what I want to talk about here, just to kind of go off what Mark was talking about. If you're the Saints, you feel like you're in pretty good position because you could potentially trade back. It's really a question of how many quarterbacks are there to be drafted. I'm sure the Titans would also feel like, yeah, we're number 1. We already drafted the quarterback number 1. Let's ship this pick out. And so if the 2 teams, and the Giants probably the same way, right? So if there's 2 teams ahead of you and you're third willing to trade, can you make a trade? We'll see. Maybe it's the RG3 Carson Wentz draft all over again. I don't know. But either way, so the question is, if you're the Saints and you do decide we don't need a quarterback, we feel like we got the guy, and you're like, hey, we're going to trade down for the first time ever, pick up 2 first-round picks, say whatever, like figure it out. or maybe a first rounder this year, first rounder next year, and you trade back into the first round. You get 2 first rounders next year. What are the 2 positions you'd want to see the Saints target if you had 2 first round picks this year?
Well, number one, I'm going to go defense and looking at either that edge guy or a linebacker just to affect the opposing team. I want someone, a pass rusher, to come in and just able to help wreak havoc alongside with like someone like a Chase Young.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think generally speaking, what a focus of this draft, and it was a focus of last year's draft too, is you change defenses, you change schemes. You need to identify which positions you feel like you have the right pieces at, and which you need to kind of filter in the 3-4 pieces that you just didn't have. And I think edge rusher is the biggest one because you didn't draft an edge rusher this past year. And I mean, you did in the 7th round, but that's basically a UDFA at the end of the day. Like he was the 5th to last pick. So yeah, I mean, if you can get a blue chip kind of 3-4 player that you can plug in there and not have to worry about, oh, can he do this? You know, he can do all this stuff. Like Carl Granderson, I like Carl Granderson as a player. You're asking him to drop into coverage a majority of the time. It's not good. It's not why Carl Granderson got paid, right? Like you gave Carl Granderson an extension. You didn't give it to him because you expected him to be an outside linebacker dropping into coverage. So I agree with that. That would be my number one. If you can get an Arvell Reese, and that's the guy everyone's looking at, the Ohio State phenom. It's a weird draft because there's names at the top right now that are just like, really, is someone going to take a safety in the top 3?
Although with Reese, I don't think you can trade down and get him.
No. He's going to be top 5. My question would be like a Josh Downs. Is it Josh Downs? Which is the Downs in college right now?
Caleb
Downs. Josh Downs is his brother, is the wide receiver. I always get them mixed up. But like you're looking at guys saying, hey, Caleb Downs, a safety, could be number 2 overall. And I'm just like, really? Is this going to be another Jamal Adams situation? It's just like the impact of a safety it'd be like drafting a tight end in that range. Like it doesn't compute for me, but maybe I'm wrong. Either way, so let's say, and yes, you're right. So you probably aren't trading down and taking Arvell Reese, but either way, there's going to be edge rushers in the top end of that draft that you could probably pull in. So, okay, so edge rusher would be your number 1. What would be your number 2?
See, my number 2 is the interior of the O-line, but I don't know if you want to address that in round 1.
Yeah.
I know that's typically frowned upon, taking a guard in the first round.
Yes, it is. And it's probably just a flaw of this question because let's say you have a high 2nd round pick or whatever, like you just add a 2nd pick, a kind of a premium day 1, day 2 pick. I would say interior offensive line has to be a target.
It's pretty evident, right?
And I mean, I don't think the Colts regretted taking Quentin Nelson. I can't remember where they took him. I think it was top 10. So if there's a blue chip kind of interior line prospect or an elite tackle prospect that you feel like can be a guard, that's probably the biggest hole on this team right now. And I know people are going to say wide receiver.
That's in there.
You have Chris Olave for next year. So I'm looking more day 2, like 3rd round options. If I'm talking wide receiver, I'm not spending a 1st round pick on a wide receiver. I know Jordan Tyson out of USC is a guy people really like, but I don't think that. I think there's a lot more to shore up before you're looking at skill players in the top 5, top 10, or even the 1st round for me. But
I want to build those trenches too. The lines either way, please. You got to.
And here's the thing: that people are going to get annoyed if the Saints do this. But like we sit here and complain nonstop about how the Saints can't run the ball, about the Saints, they talk about Cesar Ruiz, right? And one thing Schlereth said was like those are just dudes out there. Like they're not. There's not an elite player amongst that group. They're just 3 dudes, and that includes a 1st round pick.
I wanted to jump in when he was talking about the interior, and I was like, yeah, but Eric McCoy's hurt right now.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, you do have one piece there, and you're going to bring him back, and we'll see if hopefully, when you get the same type of injury over and over again, that's very frustrating. But it's at least not like a knee or a back or something that's going to, that you would think would keep you out for a while. I don't know, maybe start wearing one of those hefty arm things, like You would think after the first injury, he would have plugged one of those on, and I would be surprised if he doesn't now. But I guess if I wasn't talking guard, I'd probably say running back.
I'm with you.
And we're talking about positional value and how high are you going to draft a guy? If I could get my hands on Jeremiah Love, I want Jeremiah Love.
Because no fear of the Notre Dame curse, huh?
Yeah, I guess that's true. I didn't think about that. But that's more of a defense special teams curse. I don't think the offense is the issue because Kyron Williams is a Notre Dame guy, right?
Yep, you are correct, sir.
So, I mean, there's some Notre Dame guys in the NFL that are playing well. Plus, those were the Brian Kelly Notre Dame guys. I'll take the Freeman Notre Dame guys. But no, like for example, like you watch that Dolphins team and it's like, how did they win that game? Like, how were that offense sucked? It did. They won that game because Devon Achane was kind of singularly good. And to be fair, Devon is not a first round pick, not a second round pick. And it's kind of the classic mistake of a bad team to take a running back and think that's going to solve their problems. But
I think Love is the only running back considered a first round talent this year.
Yeah, and there's a few others, and I haven't really gone deep on the running back class to figure out, okay, who's be a second round option? Who would be this year's Amari and Hampton, a guy like that? But if you feel like, so one of the reasons that like the Giants drafting Saquon didn't make sense was because they drafted Saquon to pair him with old man Eli, thinking this will salvage the final few years of Eli Manning's career. It objectively did not. They were terrible, and it was just a waste of a pick. Right, you just wasted Saquon's prime on a team that wasn't going to be very good because you didn't have a quarterback. And then you look at Bijan Robinson with the Falcons. It's a different scenario, and you probably thought at that time Desmond Ridder is your guy. He wasn't the guy. Obviously, it turned out that did not work, and then suddenly Bijan Robinson is there, kind of languishing with nobody as the quarterback. But then you look at the Lions. They have Jared Goff. They feel like Jared Goff is the guy for the foreseeable future, and they pair him with Jahmyr Gibbs, and suddenly that offense takes off. So the question is not, should you draft a running back? The question is, do you have the quarterback?
Correct. I agree with you.
Because as long as you have the quarterback, I want to pair my young developing quarterback with an elite running back option. If you feel like you are still in a quarterback desert at the end of this season and you just don't know, I don't want to pair an elite running back with a rookie quarterback who I don't know about. If I draft a Fernando Mendoza, I don't want to go get the running back until I'm convinced that Fernando Mendoza is that dude. And you're not going to know that year one. You might know that year two. And so I think if I'm saying running back is at the top of my list behind edge rusher, it's going to be because Tyler Shough just completely balls out this final 5 games. And I'm like, we got the guy. Now I need to get him the weapon. Because I think running back would definitely trump wide receiver for me in terms of, if Devin Neal is a solid back, he's not a premium elite option. And I want to I think that would help unlock this offense because you just haven't seen. When's the last time you had a dynamic running back? And no offense to Alvin, he's probably 2 years from being a dynamic running back.
Yeah, the magic of Alvin hasn't been there of late. We're hoping and praying, fingers crossed, toes crossed, that Kendra Miller can stay on the field. That hasn't happened. And then, like you mentioned with Devin Neal, a later round pick can be a serviceable rotational guy for you, but not a horse you're going to lean on.
No, I think Devin can be a player for you. I just don't think, he's not going to be that elite option. I'm giving up on Kendra Miller. No offense to Kendra. It's just, if he shows up and is useful, fantastic. That's a win. But I cannot go into year 4 thinking and still clinging to, maybe he could be he's not the guy.
Yeah, that's crazy to say year 4. It's almost like Zion.
Right. And so you can't bank on that as your future. He might show up year 4 and finally have kicked the injury bug and finally be that dude. But you can't go into this season with that as your plan at running back. You just can't. So we'll see how that goes. Beyond that, I do think that they should look at drafting a safety high. And it's not because I don't like Jonas Sanker. It's not because I don't like these guys. I just think the depth isn't very good. And I would like to see them continue to kind of build out that room. Because Justin Reed, if he's going to be here in the next 2 years, I would like to pair him with another guy who could eventually replace him. No offense.
Right, you're grooming somebody.
Because like he's on a 3-year deal. Most times 3-year deal is really a 2-year deal. So if I can get a 3rd-round rookie safety in to kind of learn behind him, and then if he gets hurt or if you decide to move on in year 3, he's there. And if you don't, then you can go with that. Kind of like Sanker this year. Like Sanker next year is going to be way better for having played a year with Reed and obviously for having gotten all these snaps. But that's my take. Is edge rusher, interior line, running back, defensive back. And you can just say kind of athlete, defensive back. It can be a corner. It can be a safety. I just need someone to play on the back end.
I do feel like the wide receiver is a need, man. I mean, we're assuming they're going to re-sign Chris. We're seeing some development from Vele, but other than that, you got so many. It's like it's not a very stacked room right now, and you could still use a bigger body in there.
Well, I mean, Vele's under contract for 2 more years. Olave's under contract next year. Jalen Polk is coming back, so you're going to want to see what he has.
Yeah,
and Trey Palmer theoretically will be back. He's got 1 more year on his contract, so you do have intriguing names to plug. Like it's not like you don't have it. Like if Olave was not under contract and you had a bunch of guys like
it's not as pressing.
Like Polk was a 2nd-round pick, so there's talent there, and they're going to try to develop that. So I don't think it's as pressing of a need.
Yeah,
especially if you intend to extend Olave, then everyone's under contract, and you can still add a receiver. But I think you're talking more of a late day 2 would make more sense. But again, it's like this is all need versus who's there, right? Because if someone falls into your lap as a wide receiver, and you're like, "Wow, we got to take this guy," like I'm okay with that.
Yeah, like you had mentioned with Tyson, Jordan Tyson from Arizona State. Maybe Kellen absolutely loves the guy and needs him for his scheme. I don't know.
Yeah, sure. I'd also like to see Vele kind of continue to grow over the course of this final. Like there's a scenario where you
saw that bust out game. That'd be nice to build on it, right?
Yeah, and I mean, keep throwing the ball, keep doing it, and we'll see. But all right, let's hit a break. Again, I'm Jeff Nowak. He is Steve Geller. This is Inside Black and Gold. We're getting you ready for Week 14, but obviously we're doing a little bit different format for these second go division games. We're not doing kind of the full preview. We're going to come back with an interview that Mike Haas did with Charlie Smyth, Saints kicker, again, coming up off the practice squad earlier this week. Really good conversation. You get to hear the Irish accent in full. NFL Ireland is still going to be super excited to talk about the Saints, which great. I don't know how many free pints they're going to be giving out in Mayo Bridge, but we'll hear from Charlie Smyth. Then we'll come back and hit some quick X factors, some numbers that stand out to me about Tyler Shough, about the Bucs, and then close out the show. Again, thanks everyone for listening. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that. Ring the bell on YouTube. Give us a rating, review wherever you get your podcasts. On Apple Podcasts, make sure to hit that button. And otherwise, stick around. We'll be right back.
So when did you find out? Last week, was it Friday?
Yeah,
Coach
Friday.
Pulled you aside and said...
Friday morning.
Yep.
After the special teams meeting on Friday morning, Coach Phil called us up to his office, and I just remember him telling me, and I kind of just, it was just an awesome feeling of like, I'm actually going to play an NFL game here, because the past 18 months, it's been really, really good. It's been developmental. I've improved so much, and thanks to everybody in this building for doing that. For helping me along with that. But you were curious, was this ever going to come because of your lack of experience, I suppose, and just trying to overcome sort of barriers. But again, I just want to thank everybody in this organisation, the front office, coaches, head coach, Phil, even Rizzy from last year as well, and just everybody's helped me get to this point. It's been unreal. Even our operations, Zach and Kay and Matt from last year, just perfect operations every time, and that's really helped me develop.
What'd you do after you found out? Who'd you call?
First phone call was my mom, and she was ecstatic. Like she was really, really excited, and then I didn't hear that they were gonna come. I didn't know if they were gonna come over or not. I knew my dad was thinking about it if I got the call. And then I called him straight away after, and he was busy dealing with somebody in the shop that he works in, and so he's like, I'll call you back in 5 minutes. And then in the meantime, I spoke to my coach, tag leader at home. He's the one that's, he started doing the kicking workshops in Ireland, and without him, like, I wouldn't be here, so it's just been an unbelievable past week, and alongside strange emotions initially because I was such good friends with Blake as well, so just dealing with all that, it was, but then ultimately you're here to play for yourself, so just initially whenever you found out there's going to be an opportunity to play, you were just it was very kind of the emotions turned to excitement.
How was last week with Cade in the competition? Because truly this was a week. One of you two was going to kick.
Yeah.
It didn't like before. One of you two was going to kick. How was your week? And that must have been a different situation. It wasn't because one of you two was going out there.
Yeah, it initially started with Tuesday, I suppose, and also like Justin Tucker was in the building, and he's arguably the best kicker of all time. And I would have watched a lot of clips of him just as a fan, really, just as somebody who was a fan of any sort of kicking in any sport. You just like YouTube Justin Tucker highlights, and so dealing with that, I told myself I'm not gonna look at them when they're kicking. I'm just going to focus on my process and try not get caught up in being overawed by it, in a way. So I felt like that really worked for me, and dealt with that on Tuesday. I found out a lot about myself, and then that led up to Thursday, where myself and Cade were obviously going at it again. And Cade's a super talented kicker. He's he got drafted in the 4th round for a reason. Kicked national championship winner with LSU, and he's been awesome as well. It's, we've gotten to know each other a lot better. And Thursday, the two of us, we just says, look, it's is business. We're just gonna go out and do our own thing. And again, I was just really happy with how it went, and I found out a lot about myself, and I was just really happy with how the week went.
Second time you've said that, found out a lot about myself. What does that mean?
Well, it's because you can practice on your own all you want. So I come in here on a Monday morning after the game, and you're trying to work on some technical things, but you don't really feel any sense of pressure with that. So whenever that there's a starting job on the line, basically, your body goes to a place where it hasn't really been to before, in terms of dealing with all the adrenaline and nerves, and how can you feel that into something positive, and that's what I feel like I was able to do, just having a couple of different techniques to do that, and just basically any situation that I feel like I've been thrown into, I feel like I've had the ability to handle it, so it's been unreal, and this past week's just been incredible.
16-0 at half, and the Saints score and go for 2, 16-8. At that point, were you going, my parents are here, I might not touch it again, right? I mean, you want to win the game. Let's be clear. I'll say it off the top. The goal is to win the game. We're going to talk a lot about your personal experience, but were you going, they're going to go for 2 the next time they score, right?
Yeah. I was curious. So we were sitting on the sidelines talking about it. If we scored, would we go for 2? Because it was early on in the third. And we were like, well, we have time, to maybe,
get it again
and again, so we could maybe go up, 17-16, if that's the route we wanted to take, if going for the extra points and then potentially a field goal. But the offense did a great job of converting that first 2-point conversion, and then you were sitting there yourself like, oh, I don't know, I'm like, I was laughing about it with Zach and Kay, what if they come over and I didn't actually get a field goal or an extra point attempt? And I know there was a few beers waiting on the boys at home if I scored, so a few free ones anyway. So you're like, the owner of the pub, Coke Laverty, he's going to get off lightly today. So but then you're like, they scored the field goal to go up 11, I think it was.
19-8.
I was like, yeah, we're going to need something here to try and help us. So just delighted to be able to get the opportunity there.
And that's where we are. 19-8, 6 minutes to play in the football game. It's not a game winner like the preseason in Arizona, but it was a preseason, so it's a big difference because you've got to make it a one-score game.
Yeah,
56 yards. The crossbar is 10 feet off the ground. Each goalpost is 35 feet straight up. So that's 45 feet.
Yeah.
By my calculations, it went through about 15 feet down. Roughly, that would have been good from 70 plus. How good did you hit it, and what were you feeling when you went out there?
Well, in a way, like I was kind of like nearly delighted it was a long one, because that's kind of where I've excelled, since I've got here, is, with the longer kicks. Look, at the same time, you have to deal with every kick as it comes, right? You just go out and execute your process. But yeah, it was one of them kicks where, like, it came off the foot, and I was like, I didn't even have to. I just looked at the flight path of the ball, and I was like, I know it's good from whatever distance, So yeah, I was just delighted to go out and get the chance to help the team. And yeah, like, again, I'll go back to the operation was absolutely perfect. Like, I think Zach Wood's the best snapper in the NFL. In my 2 years of watching him snapping games, I could say the holder maybe has to adjust the laces ever so slightly, maybe one in every 10, 12 kicks. So it's incredible stuff what he's able to do and the consistency that he brings. And then Kai is such a good holder. He gives you so much room to see the ball. He gets the ball down super quick, so I see a lot of the ball as I'm approaching it. And then, yeah, it's just up to me to try and knock it through. And even the O-line as well, just, the protection that they provide. It really is a team effort on that, So I just want to make sure, we're covering that too, because the guys do such a good job. But yeah, I was just delighted now to be able to help the team in that situation.
So it didn't work out well for the pub owner, right? You've seen the video of the split video of the it's a pub in Mayo Bridge.
Yeah, that's my local. It's called Laverty's Bar. Okay. Yeah.
And a few pints were dealt out after that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. Again, yeah, that's somewhere. It's like a 2-minute walk from my own from a home house, and I kind of told a few people on Friday that I was going to be playing, like, some of my best mates, and one of my best mates, he's actually like one of the main barmen in that pub. So he was like, sort of spreading it, but like, you're not allowed to tell anybody type deal, because I didn't want the, it leaking or whatever. And yeah, it was fun. It looked great fun for the boys at home now, and it was nearly one of them situations where you wish you could clone yourself to be there as well. But look, it was I'd definitely much rather be playing now and out here. So look, yeah, it was great. The video was good. Now I have to say it was fun to watch back.
Yeah, that video will be forever. You'll be able to look back at that video irrespective of kind of what moves forward. So let's talk about the onside kick. First off, I know you've practiced it because you can be off on your own, but how many times have you practiced it with the actual hands team out there? Like, how many times, roughly?
Maybe a good handful of times. Yeah, because on Fridays, it's normally the starting kicker who does that sort of stuff. So, it was really only Friday we got to do it with the team, and it was actually we did it just on the scout team for our own hands team to recover it, and we did that same kick, and I really liked, me and myself and Phil, and we had a discussion about it, and Kyle as well. We saw that it kind of caught our own hands team off, and then myself and Phil talked about it on Sunday, saying, like, what do you think here, and we came to the agreement that let's go for it. Because of how I panned off on Scout Team on Friday, and look, the boys did a great job again. Vela just sort of held his composure and tried to wait as long as possible. I might have had a little too much sauce on it, but look, no, it was delighted. We were delighted that we were able to recover it, and it was a pretty cool moment as well. So people, I don't really like this phrase that much, but people said luck of the Irish, and it kind of like gets me going a little bit, to be honest, but maybe it was in that case, so look, we'll take it, and hopefully we can get more of those if we ever need it.
It's a big deal. There have been 5 recovered in the NFL this year. 5.
Wow.
It's not.
How many? Do you know how many?
That's the hard part. It's a hard figure, and they only give you the first 25.
Okay.
And obviously, there's
it's probably like a 4% recovery rate or something.
It's wildly difficult because you got to tell them, right?
The
Saints did it in 2010 for the Super Bowl. It's called ambush.
Yeah,
it's
just
a secret.
on that
Ambush.
On the way home from the game on the bus, I got a phone call from Timo from Merstead, and we were actually, because I've kicked with Thomas in New Orleans in the off season and in Gatlinburg in July, and he's a great dude, and I would try and lean off of him in any way I can. I actually met him the week of the Super Bowl as well, and just going through things with him as a mentor, and because he's had such good experience in playing, and he's still going such a strong rate for the 49ers now. So we were talking about the onside, and he goes, funny enough, it was the same stadium, it was a great stadium for Saints fans to go and revisit, and it was his onside kick was to the left to our sideline, which it was to the left of our sideline, so it was the same side. So we both had a little chuckle about that now, and it was funny.
I want to make sure I got this correct. So Mayo Bridge would be like a village or a hamlet where you're from.
Yeah.
And then Newry is the bigger area.
Newry is the city.
Right. And then County Down is a a much larger. It's like literally it's 70% size of Rhode Island.
Yeah.
County Down is 961 square miles. So when we think of county, we don't think 961 square miles.
Is that bigger?
It's huge.
Right, okay.
Huge. In a county like Jefferson Parish or Orleans Parish, they're called parishes, but in other places they're called counties. That's what we think of as a county.
Yeah.
Yours is almost the size of Rhode Island. And Gaelic football, which you grew up playing since you were 4, the width of the field is roughly 92 yards. The length is roughly 153. You get points for kicking it under through the goal like soccer.
Yeah.
And a point for over. Yeah. So it's like basketball, rugby, soccer, and that was your love. So you must have, when you got here, you must have gone, this is it? This is the whole field? This is just tiny.
Yeah, not really. You weren't really thinking I know our football field is huge, so I remember the training we used to do to be fit to run around it, dark training sessions where you'd be on your honkers being sick, and as a kicker now, thankfully you don't have to go through that. It's just a different type of battle, I suppose, where you have to be able to be in full control of your mind and your process and whatever. But look, don't get me wrong, you miss the crack, as our word for what's going on in the locker room and stuff, and you do miss that a little bit. But look, no, I'm really delighted to be over here, and this is something that I see myself doing for a long time, and but everything I've done in Gaelic football is the reason that it has kind of set me up for success over here. And look, it's if you talk to anybody in Ireland, the really unique thing about Gaelic football is you can only play for where you're from. So I can only play for Mayo Bridge because that's my village team, that's my local GAA club. And if you're good enough, you get to represent your county. So every child grows up of dreaming of playing for their county in Croke Park, which is where the Steelers and Vikings game was. It's an 82,000 seated stadium. And so that was the dream growing up, because I only really started following football when I was 16, 17, and I mean, I know there's NFL games in Croke Park now too, so if you ever got to play there someday, that'll be awesome too. But I don't know where I'm going with this now, but
it's all right.
Yeah.
I spent half my life not knowing where I'm going with this show. You talked about learning the sport, one side, and you also learned, unfortunately, the business side of the sport, right? Mm-hmm. Blake had to have been enormously close with you. You spend so much time just standing over on the side. Yeah. He had the most unbelievable training camp. There's nothing you could have done to have unseated him.
No, there's nothing.
Right?
Yeah.
Nothing. And so, but it's tough, right? I mean, you've seen the business side. You're getting all these accolades right now, but you've also seen the business side of this game.
Yeah, and that's something too, that this has been unreal this past 24 hours or 48 hours of support, and from everybody at home and Saints fans, but you're only 1 or 2 missed kicks away from maybe that turning on you. So I've told myself, you have the 24-hour rule after the game where you get to enjoy what's going on, or you get to, whatever emotions you feel, you got to feel them. But now today, like, I'm in a mind space where I want to move on to Tampa on Sunday, because I have to get my stuff right for Tampa. I have to get myself in a really good mind space, get the body healed up, because of the load of last week, and feeling great and mentally really sharp. In order to do that, you have to be a small tad selfish, and just really putting yourself first, and just really trying to get in a good mind space going into Tampa now on Sunday, and just trying to make sure that we make everything that any opportunity that comes our way, we're in the best possible mind space, feeling physically great, to go make that kick, or whatever the team needs me to do.
Yeah, this is an enormous week for you, right? I mean, again, you're sitting here with me for 30-some minutes, and you're talking to ESPN, and this is, you're going to have to totally refocus.
Yeah, for sure, like 100%. Obviously there's been quite a lot of requests and stuff, but the Saints PR team, have done a great job and helped me out with that. And I did an interview with a journalist at home who I really trust yesterday, and we're doing this today, but after this we're moving on to Sunday now, and the week's preparation ahead.
We had I do the coaches show on Monday night. It's called the Visit Pensacola Coaches Show, and we had a lot of technical issues, so I feel like I need to do this for them. The Visit Pensacola Coaches Show.
That's a great spot, by the way.
I was going to say, because you went there for New Year's Eve. Yep. That's where you rung in the new year, you and your parents.
Yep.
Drive to Pensacola, had dinner. Right? Yep. Was it daytime at all? Did you see it during the day, or was it always night?
Yeah, we left around like 9 a.m. I think we got there for like 12.
Got there, yeah. So you saw it during the day, the beauty of the blue water and everything.
Mm-hmm. It was a beautiful town. Yeah. I'll definitely be going back there at some stage now.
And then had dinner and then drove back. I would assume all on I-10 the whole way, just fireworks everywhere.
It was. We left around 6, so we left around when the sun started to set, and then we it was a great day. I just remember the water and the beach, and just having my family there. My younger sister and my parents were there. So it was a great day, and Pensacola people are really nice, and the hospitality was great there.
When you got to see your parents after the game, you knew it would be quick. Emotional. I mean, it must have been just like you wanted it to last as long as possible. Like, do the buses have to go now?
Yeah, it was nearly one of them ones where you wish you could have got dinner with them or something. No, it was grand. It's all part of the gig of being in the NFL. Whenever you're on the road, it's a really good buzz just getting to travel your team, and just like having chartered planes and just like dealing with police escorts. Like, we don't have that at home, so just dealing with those types of things, it still like amazes me that all the police escorts and all, and the 7 buses going and everybody videoing us driving past. It's it's pretty cool to be a part of. You
said your dad works in the shop?
Yeah, he works in a plumbing supply shop. He's also a Gaelic football referee. He loves that. That's his way to be social.
And your mother?
She's a school teacher in Mayo Bridge, which is where I'm from.
Mm-hmm. And so they went back?
They went back. They flew back yesterday. I think they're probably just about to land down now, because I know they had a bit of a layover in Philadelphia. But whenever they initially came in, they flew via Chicago, and there's snowstorms in Chicago.
That's right.
A lot of flights were cancelled out of Chicago, so they were kind of a little nervous, as was I, obviously, about if they were going to make it. And they got in on Saturday night around 3 a.m. into Miami, and then so they stayed, watched the game, went out on Sunday night, and they're like, right, well, back to work now, so
back to the real world.
My mum, she's got over, she's a little nervous about I'll have to get back, and the principal wants me back or whatever, and I'm like, Mummy, relax,
show him the video from Lafferty's.
Oh no, he's from Mayo Bridge as well, so maybe I'll have to DM and say, look, can we get her out again or whatever, I was
gonna say, when's the next time do you think you'll see him?
Well, all being well, with my performance goes well and stuff. Hopefully, we'll get them back out for one of the games in New Orleans then, so they can actually spend some more time with them and stuff.
I feel there's been so much emphasis on the 50 plus, and I've watched many kickers lose their Jake Moody and Young Wei Koo, who've lost their gig, not because they weren't kicking 58, because they weren't making it from 48. You make your money 40, 49.
Oh yeah, that's something that even Phil, we talk about it all the time, is you have to be money, from nearly, I would say, 55 and in right now. Your 55 plus is where, you can show off your leg, I suppose. But if you're not absolute money, 55 and in, you're not going to last too long, So that's been the real focus of this last 18 months, is just dialing in on those, really 50 and in kicks where, you're trying to, go 90, 95%, in those situations. And, there's a miss inside 40 is inexcusable. So just dealing with that, you just really put an emphasis on that and not taking any kick for granted.
Do you kick it differently? If, say, it's a 33-yarder, I don't want to say 30, that's an extra point. Say it's 35 or 55, or is there one kick?
There's one kick, because if you're changing your swing, then something could go wrong. Your hips might, and your timing of your hips might be off, or any kick, because whenever you get on
so
that
from 35, it's going through the net. You're trying to punch a hole through the net.
Yeah, I'm trying to hit above the ball stuff, So
give the free souvenir. Although I think kicking balls they get back.
Oh, no, we need to get those back now.
The kicking balls you have to get back.
Maybe I'm not trying to kick it over there. So
I want to spend our final few minutes just talking. You arrived here and spent some time because you had the combine in Florida. I mean, the pro day in Florida, combine in Indy. So you show up in New Orleans, very international city, but yet very unique.
Mm-hmm.
What's your time been like? What do you do?
Yeah, it's been it's been a huge adjustment. I think honestly the biggest thing was, right now it's good, but like dealing with the heat of, like, I remember being in a hotel and it took me ages to get my driver's license. So like even just like walking 5 minutes to a coffee shop and like I can't wear a white t-shirt here, because it's going to be soaked through. Just little things like those. But I love it here.
Food? What's your favorite thing to eat?
Yeah, I struggle a little bit with seafood now, but I do love the boudin sausages and the beignets. Like, I've tried the crawfish. I struggle with it a little bit, and
I'm not from here.
Yeah.
We used to catch crayfish. We call them crayfish in Virginia.
Yeah.
And the creeks. It never crossed my mind to put it into a pot and eat the damn thing, right? So I would say, and now I've been here 35, almost 40 years. You just give it some time. Eat the sausage, eat the potatoes, eat the corn.
I love the snow cone culture.
You do? You like it?
Yeah, I love the good old mixed
snowballs.
Snowball, yeah. Normally I go to Sal's.
Yeah.
I think it's on Bonneville. So I normally go there, and I really like that. And the rice dishes as well. I'll be a big fan of. With the chicken and sausage, and I honestly, and even just like meeting people and making connections, whether it be on a golf course or I just feel like I know my way around the city. I don't need Apple Maps to take me everywhere anymore. So that just makes life a lot easier.
It's kind of a different city. I mean, you can't use directions. You have to use the river and the lake.
Yeah.
Right? Because east, west, north, south means nothing here. Right? It's just it's directionally challenged. Well, I knew this would be, quite frankly, the easiest interview I would do. I knew it would be informative. I knew it would be engaging. I knew it would be fun. When I was doing some, deeper dive research, I typed in Charlie S on Google. And Smith came up. Like that's crazy. Now that'll it's up to you to keep it that way. I'm not putting any. I'm just saying that's like wow. So continued success. I know you will put it behind you and just go back to being Charlie Smyth, 39. And because you've seen the flip side, you've seen how fast it can be taken away.
It can really change.
And man, just best of luck. Beat the heck out of Tampa. And
hopefully,
McLaughlin's got a big leg too.
Yeah. Well, actually, I got chatting to him pre-game, and I've trained with our long snapper in the off season in USF, which is where my pro day was. And they're great dudes down there. They're a very good specialist group down there too. So
pro day was pretty windy, wasn't it?
Our pro day was indoors.
It was indoors.
Yeah.
I don't know where I saw you kicking outdoors, and it was windy as heck.
Oh, well, that was in IMG Academy.
Okay.
That kick didn't mean nothing. That was just like that was a couple of days before my visit here, and we were just having fun with the wind, and just target line was a bit nuts now, and it just ball came back around. So
it was a high draw with the wind and next to the pin. All right, I appreciate it. Best of luck.
And we are back on Inside Black and Gold. Jeff Nowak Here alongside Steve Geller, you just heard from Charlie Smyth, who a lot of people probably want to call Smyth. It's not. It is Smith. There's no E on the end of it. There is a Dalton Smyth in the NFL. He spells it with an E. It's Smith. It's just the way it is. But
the Y throws everyone off.
It does. But you're pronouncing it like an I. Just pretend it's not even there. Either way, going to get another chance to kick. Going to get another chance to kick in the state of Florida, and going to get another chance to kick in the potential rain. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But if I had to pick anybody to kick in the rain and the wind, it would be the guy from Northern Ireland. Good luck to Blake Grupe, finally playing some quote-unquote meaningful football out there with the Colts.
Right?
Well, I mean, he's not wrong. Like, people got all worked up about that. And I'm like, yeah, he's 100% correct. This team hasn't been playing meaningful football for like 2 years.
Well, maybe we play meaningful football if you made your kicks.
Yeah, I don't think that was the difference. But either way, we're going to get into it. This is going to be an X Factors segment, and it's kind of interesting because this is the first time all year that this is a team that the Saints have already played once, right? This is the first of their 3 remaining rematch games. The Bucs won that initial matchup. The Saints put up 3 points. It was the game that sparked the Tyler Shough era. Spencer Rattler got benched in the third quarter. And my X factor for Tyler will be, can you avoid throwing a pick 6 at your goal line?
Don't even speak it into existence.
Yeah. That was
that almost felt like that was the last straw for Spence.
If he doesn't do that and he drives down for a touchdown or points, maybe he's still the starter right now. Who knows? But that didn't happen, and we'll go from there. But what is your kind of initial kind of read? Like, what are you looking at? What is the main thing that you think is like, if the Saints can do this, they have a chance to win this game?
I'm worried about the pressure that Tampa Bay's defense is going to be bringing, and the guy like Vita Vea in the middle there scares the heck out of me with the interior of this D-line. He's a big problem. And for Shough to just be able to manage that and have, that clock in his head, getting rid of the football, I don't think that's going to be an issue. But you just see too many times that interior collapses, and I'm hoping that they find a way to hold up for him to be able to pass the ball. And also, man, the run game, I don't even know what to make of it anymore. It seems like a lost cause. I hate to say that, but nothing is working.
Yeah. Did Hassan Reddick play? I don't think he did. I think Hassan Reddick didn't play, and that's why what Anthony Nelson? Was it Anthony Nelson?
Correct. Yeah, it was like, who's this guy?
Yeah, like that's why Anthony Nelson was on the field so much and had the game of his life, because Hassan Reddick didn't play. Hassan Reddick will play in this game, so it'll be interesting, like from a pressure perspective, how they handle it. I want to throw to another Mark Schlereth clip because he addressed that part of the Bucs game plan. Like, he was asked, "What do you think of this matchup?" and he immediately went to the pressure. So let's hear what he had to say.
Yeah, well, one thing, I mean, Todd is always going to try to pressure you early, pressure you on first and second down, and a lot of run pressures. Once to get you behind the chains, once you get in the second down in long situations, and then, then get you in a third down and 6+, third down and 7+, and then, show you pressure but fall off play zone, make you throw it underneath, make you get rid of the ball and rally up and tackle. And so he's been kind of he's one of the most blitzing kind of play callers on the defensive side of the ball. But it's surprising when you really look at it. A lot of it's on first down. A lot of it's about getting you behind the chains. A lot of it's against the run. And so got to be efficient on first down, and you've got to expect pressures on first down if you're Shough, if you're Kellen Moore and Nussmeier, the offensive coaches. So that's something you got to look at. That's something you got to prepare for. But listen, man, like I said, I watched that guy on Sunday, and I was great in the booth because I could hear them. I could hear the calls. I could hear the line calls. Changing re-IDing the mic, changing the line protection, changing where the slide is going to, being in complete control of the offense at the line of scrimmage. It was impressive for me, and so I think he'll be up to the task. I mean, obviously, you talk about dominating the line of scrimmage. I think both tackles are really good for New Orleans. I think the inside three guys are replaceable. I think they're just guys, and you need to be better across the line of scrimmage. And I like Devin Neal. I don't know that he's necessarily a full-time starter in this league, but I like him. I like how hard he runs and everything. But I still am waiting for him to break his first tackle outside the numbers. Whether you're throwing the ball to him or you rather run it wide, he does a good job inside running. But I just don't feel like he threatens the defense to break a tackle outside and take 160. He's like, if he does break a tackle, he'll take another 5. And so there's a lack of dynamic nature there. Like I said, I like him. He's a bruiser between the tackles, but I just think there's just an overall lack of talent. And, Olave's a guy to me that I look at him and I think he's a really good player. I think you'd rather him just be a slot player and move the chains and do that stuff. I don't think he's like a legit X number one, matchup dude out there. So there's a lot of work to be done. And for Shough to be completing almost 70%, 68% of his passes, with the lack of weapons and the lack of just talent, again, I think it's a really impressive start. I talked about this I have a podcast out today on the Sting of Truth, but it's the Sting of Truth Leftovers, where I just talk exclusively about the Saints-Miami game I just did. And I came away with that feeling really good about him as a second-round quarterback. I really do. I think he's right now as a young quarterback in his first season rookie, he's the best rookie of all the guys I've watched that are rookies right now playing. And, that's two Cleveland quarterbacks and some of the others. And better, he's playing better right now than a lot of the second-year quarterbacks out of that draft class last year with Penix and with Caleb Williams and obviously the kid in Minnesota. He's playing better than any of those guys.
Yeah, and he also can't answer a question without gushing about Tyler Shough and his ability to handle stuff. But I will say I agree with you completely. That was going to be my answer as well. And the reason being, if there's been kind of a kryptonite for Tyler to this stage, it's been an extra rusher. It's been what happens when there's pressure coming that you're not expecting. The sack fumble in this last game that was on a pressure look. It was Devon Vele who was supposed to pick it up. He took ownership of it in his post game, but it's just there's been a lot of instances where pressure has gotten to Tyler, and the numbers, it's pretty clear. So I looked this up this morning. When Tyler is not blitzed, so that means 4 or fewer rushers. So either the front 4 comes or someone drops out, whatever, 4, 3, however many are rushing. He is 86 of 117. It's 73.5 completion percentage, 801 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, although I know at least one of those was the Chris Olave interception that kind of ticked off his hands. 11 sacks, which is a high number, but it's only about 12, 13% of his dropbacks. 2 throwaways. His average depth of target is 11 yards. His yards per attempt is 6.8, and his time to throw is 2.7. When he is blitzed, his completion percentage drops 30%. He is 21 of 47. That's a 44.7% completion percentage, 267 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception. It's only been sacked 3 times, but there's been 4 throwaways. The interesting thing is his time to throw is actually higher against the blitz than when he's not blitzed, and that's in part because he's extending plays. But his average depth of target drops to 8.1. It's still higher than you'd expect. Yards per attempt, 5.7, down from 6.8. Now, compare that to Matthew Stafford. And I always go to Matthew Stafford as a guy that you don't want to blitz because he burns the blitz. And Matthew Stafford is also a player that Tyler Shough came up kind of idolizing. Like a lot of the way he throws the ball and how he plays a quarterback is based on watching Matthew Stafford and kind of modeling his game after Matthew Stafford. When Matthew Stafford is not blitzed, 166 for 246, that's 67.5%, 1,863 yards, 9 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He's been sacked 8 times. It's a high number, but it's Matthew Stafford. He's going to get sacked because he's not going to run out of it. 9 throwaways, so he's throwing the ball away at a high rate. His average depth of target is 9.5 yards. yards per attempt 7.6, time to throw 2.79. When he is blitzed, so 67.4%. I'm sorry, 67.5% when not blitzed. When he is blitzed, 100 of 155, 64.5%. So his completion percentage only goes down by 3 points, 1,210 yards. Listen to this, 23 touchdowns, 1 interception.
Wow.
23 of his 34 touchdown throws this season have come against the blitz, have come on downs where the defense sends 5 or more rushers. You don't want to blitz that guy.
Right. He's like, I dare you.
Right. And it's the opposite of what the Saints are going to deal with right now, which is you have a quarterback who's been susceptible to these pressure looks. You have a Bucs team that's in the top 5 in blitz rate. The Dolphins are in the top 5 in blitz rate. The Falcons are in the top 5 in blitz rate. So you got 3 straight games where you're going against it. I need to see an improvement, right? I need to see him handle it better. One thing to keep in mind. So when Matthew Stafford is not blitzed, his time to throw is 2.79. When he is blitzed, it's 2.47. You got to get the ball out faster. You got to trust your reads. It helps when you have Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, who are both really good at getting open.
Right.
But that's the number. Your time to throw cannot go up against the blitz. I get it. You can extend plays. I need that number to go down. Right. And if you're wondering, okay, how did Spencer Rattler play? He actually played well against the blitz this year. It was the biggest point of improvement for him. He struggled mightily against it as a rookie, and that's not unusual for rookies. But this year, when Spencer wasn't blitzed, he was 120 of 178, 67.4%, 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 10 sacks, 2.63 time to throw. When he was blitzed, his completion percentage actually went up, 54-78, 69.2%, 579 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Wasn't a ton of dynamic throws against the blitz, but he got the ball out. He didn't take negative plays. And that, to me, is the step that Tyler needs to show me over the final 5 games of this season, that he can improve on that. He's seen this Bucs defense. He knows what they're going to do, or at least he has some understanding of what it is. If he can get that completion percentage up closer to 60%, if he can get the ball out of his hands a little quicker, I think this offense starts to work again. But it's not a coincidence that everything looked a lot easier against the Panthers, a team that doesn't blitz a ton. And over the past 2 weeks, it has looked gruesomely difficult against teams that are constantly bringing pressure, changing the looks on you. And you're going to get that again this week. So you're just going to have to figure it out. I also think it's on Kellen to give him answers, because the number that does concern me is 8.1 yards average depth of target. That's too far. I want to see short throws. I want to see hot routes. I want to see the ability to get the ball out of your hands. You don't need to throw it downfield. I need you to get positive yards and let guys catch and run. So we'll see. But that's, to me, the biggest issue for Tyler right now, and it's the biggest issue for most rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah, and I mean, we just want to keep seeing this rook keep developing, and hopefully, like we said, prove to this Saints coaches staff that he can be this guy to build around, and you're not using a first-round pick on a QB right off the bat. Yeah,
and I mean, and again, when Spencer came to camp, that was the quick decision-making, especially against pressure looks, was the biggest sign of improvement.
Right.
Now, he had a full offseason. He had a full training camp to kind of work on that and come in. And it also was an issue when he wasn't facing pressure. He was operating that same way. He wasn't comfortable in the pocket in terms of allowing plays to develop. And that's where I think Tyler's probably ahead of him at this stage, is when he's not blitzed. He's executing. I mean, 73% when he's not blitzed. If you're a defense, why would you not just send pressure on every play? All right, let's change to the defense against the Bucs offense. What are you thinking on that side of the fence?
Curious what's going to be their running back situation. I know Bucky Irving is back, and just being able to bottle up whatever they're trying to do on the ground game. And yeah, I hate to, it's crazy to say, but I want Baker to beat me with the arm. Hopefully you're getting pressure on him too. But overall, keeping that run game contained is so crucial to me, and being able to stifle any offense, really.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, shutting down the run game. Bucky did play well last week. I think he had 67 yards and a touchdown in his first game back. So he's going to be a guy. And if you can bottle him up, because my thing is hit Baker. I want to hit Baker. And I'm not saying do anything dirty. I know he gets mad that the Saints hit him and stuff. But when you have a guy playing with a injured shoulder, you got to hit him.
Attack.
You got to make that a consequence, right?
Yeah.
And what's going to end up happening is he's going to feel like, I got to get the ball out. I'm not going to be able to scramble. He's scrambled on 15% of his dropbacks this year. It's the highest rate of his career. He's thrown for the second most yards of any quarterback on scrambles this year. So he wants to scramble. He wants to extend plays. But when you're dealing with an injured shoulder, which is an AC joint sprain, it's the same injury that Derek Carr had to his throwing shoulder. It's obviously not the same problem when it's your non-throwing shoulder, but it's a painful injury. I'm sure they're going to shoot it up as something, but you don't want to get hit. So he's going to have to change the way he plays, and I want to force him to operate differently. I want to force him to operate uncomfortably. The interesting thing is I looked, and his average, his time to throw was not lower last week. His time to throw actually went up, but his average depth of target was significantly less. It was against the Cardinals, it was 7.7. His season average is 8.5. So it was down by almost a full yard on the average line. And so he's not necessarily getting the ball out faster, but he is targeting routes closer to the line of scrimmage. So they're not calling as many shot plays, or at least he's not going for as many shot plays, because that requires you to stand in the pocket. They're also playing from in front, which allows you to, play a little bit more conservatively. You don't have to attack downfield. But I think I agree with you in the sense that if you can bottle up the run game and hit Baker and force and make him feel it and force him to operate and test that shoulder and see how much pain he's willing to play through,
Good thing is, too, we don't know the status of Tristan Wirfs yet. One thing for this Bucs O-line, too, they could be without Tristan Wirfs. I know he's dealing with an oblique issue. That's a big piece for them.
Yeah. And I mean, and I get it. The Bucs probably have a stronger second string offensive line than most teams, but I don't care. When you're to your backup left tackle, it's a problem. I don't care what team you're on. If he was a starting caliber backup, he would be a starting left tackle in the NFL. Right. So yeah, I mean, it put pressure on Baker. And again, you can't be playing from behind every game. When they faced the Bucs in that game, I think that was another example of 2 touchdowns. No, that was the first game they didn't allow 2 touchdowns on the first 2 possessions for like a month straight. So I don't know. It'd be nice to get out to a lead and force the other team to kind of play outside of their comfort zone. But I may be asking too much.
Looking for a little luck in Tampa, man. I think, 5 of their last 7 trips to Raymond James Stadium, Saints have come home with a victory.
Yeah, and the 2 that they lost, think about it. Last year, which is one of them, they were up 10 at halftime.
Right.
That Saints team that was thrown to Dante Pettis and Marquez Valdez-Scantling, they were up 10 at halftime. So that's not exactly a resounding victory for the Bucs. Like, the Saints went in there and kind of embarrassed them, and they lost that game. But that's supposedly an NFC South champion, great team, whatever. Spencer Rattler kind of put the screws to him in the first half. Like, those fans were not feeling confident going in halftime. And then the other game, if you recall, was the Andy Dalton game where they led 13-0, and then Tom Brady pulled a comeback out of his ass.
Sadly, that's when I was still on the sideline.
Yeah. And so even the 2 losses were, the Saints were in control of both of those games. So they just play well. And I don't know if it's something about the Saints, if it was something about the players at those times. I don't know if that magic is going to transfer over to Tyler, but there's just something about playing in that stadium that suits the Saints. Maybe Cam Jordan can get another 3-piece and just max out his his escalators in one day.
Yeah, the Buccaneers, the stadium, I do like the fact that I feel like their drainage there is, if there is rain, it's pretty good of where there's no pooling. They have a good system there. But the biggest thing that annoys me, Jeff, and I know you've experienced it already too, is the fact that I'm standing there and I know it's coming, and that cannon fire still makes me jump.
Oh, it's the worst. And I'm terrible about jump scares. My wife makes fun of me all the time. I was watching a movie this morning that I knew it was coming, and I said, I had a cat sitting on my lap and she like jumped off. Like it was.
It's so damn annoying, the booms.
But yeah, that one I at least remember. The one that drives me up the wall is in LA. The Chargers have a cannon of some kind that they shoot off, and you don't expect it because at least like the Bucs have a gigantic pirate ship. It just kind of goes with the territory. Like, yeah, they're gonna shoot a cannon. Like it's gonna happen. In LA, the Chargers are like, oh, thunderclap. Like what? You're not a lightning storm, so why are you setting off a thunderclap? It's stupid. The lightning, anyway.
Hey, they need anything out there for whatever fans they do have.
But that's why, like, it's so illogical that they even do it. That when it goes off, I'm just, oh my god, what happened? Yeah. Anyway,
I just hate that they blew the cannons at Tampa, even for like a field goal. You're like, relax, come on.
You should save it for touchdowns, guys.
Right,
like, that's
exactly.
Kind of embarrassing. It's like you once you're good, you should save it for touchdowns. Like I get it. If you're the Saints right now, you need to celebrate every single point you put on the board.
We're celebrating firsts.
Yeah, let's raise the standard for what is cannon fodder. Anyway, yeah, I don't like that stadium. It's one of my least favorite stadiums. And it's the weather's fine. It's not a weather issue. It's just old and decrepit, and their players develop staph infections there.
Right.
Who was that?
That was Carl Nix.
Carl Nix, yeah. There's bugs in the showers, according to their report cards. And
see, overall for me, though, I have fond memories of Raymond James Stadium when the Saints play there. So I like it just because it usually means victory.
That's true. I'm thinking more in terms of
aesthetics,
like, quality of the stadium.
Yeah, I got you.
Like the Saints clearly like it.
I think Mark Ingram, Taysom Hill all have great games in Tampa.
Yeah. Alvin Kamara had his kickoff return touchdown in Tampa.
There you
go. Yeah. The fans are never loud, ever.
Because they're all scared of the cannon firing.
They're often not even there. If it's raining, they definitely won't be there. But all right, that's going to wrap it up for this episode, this kind of halfway preview episode of Inside Black and Gold. I'm Jeff Nowak. He is Steve Geller. Let's do it. Let's win a game. Let's charge them Buccaneers nears. Oh God, what was that? That was embarrassing.
Shiver me timbers, Jeff.
Shiver me timbers, make them walk the plank. I'm kind of like a SpongeBob sounding pirate here.
Don't start mixing in like pirate talk with trying to do an Irish accent.
Oh yeah. I don't know what that was. I got nothing for you. I got nothing.
We're delirious.
Who lives in?
We're talking about a 2-10 team.
I'm sorry, what?
I said we're delirious. We're talking about a 2-10 team.
Yeah, man. I was thinking yesterday, it's like, wow, we're so far into the season. And then I was like, oh, there's 5 games left. Last year, the final like 3 games felt like an eternity because it was over. Like the idea that it's over in week 14.
Right.
Just like, and again, thank goodness that there's at least division games to talk about. Because if this was like all like Jets, 49ers, Patriots, just be like, what are we doing?
Titans.
Yeah. Can we just end it? Can we just agree not to play at all? But no, we're going to play. They're going to play.
When we get to Jets and Titans weeks, those are going to be brutal, man.
Unless Tyler's playing well. Like that's the only thing that can save this season from an interest perspective is if Tyler plays well enough that people have to start talking about him.
It's happening. There's a little more things popping up. You mentioned with Orlovsky, and we had Schlereth on, and yeah, so the word's getting around that there is another rookie around in the NFL that people can mention.
He's so old. No one wants to talk about him because he's so
over
old.
Over the hill rookie.
Oh man. All right. Who dat? Go Saints. Peace, y'all.
Take care of Tampa. Let's go.